What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. Hopefully you had a good weekend. Overall, we had some fun here. Had a very large spawn cast that took place. Had a lot of fun talking about that Nintendo Direct. And of course, we also took apart the GameCube, which I really like taking it apart. It was a little more than I thought it would be to get that thing apart with how small it is. But man, they packed a lot of technology into that little cube. So it was a lot of fun to check that out. So if you missed any of those, check them out there in the card above. But today we have a lot of stuff we got to get into. Days Gone appears to have been delayed, and then they confirmed it. Yeah, it's delayed. It's going to 2019, and that actually makes a lot of sense based around some of the announcements that we're seeing here. We found out that Sakurai is returning, in this case for Smash Bros, to get that out the door for the Switch. So today, guys, let's get started. So Smash Bros did get announced at the end of the Nintendo Direct, and now we know, based on Twitter posts from, well, the creator himself, Masahiro Sakurai, is returning for this Super Smash Bros. Game on the Nintendo Switch. He did put this out on his own Twitter account saying, "Right now we're just at the stage where we revealed the game, but I've been working on the game in silence day after day. Please wait until we can release more information or until release day." That was from a translation from Source Gaming. It does appear that he has returned despite the toll that a lot of these previous Smash Bros. Games had on him. I mean, he's been very outspoken about a lot of issues. People have even said that he almost lost his hand, but he's had inflammation, shoulder pain, and just a lot of physical issues based on how much he works and just his work ethic in general, pushing, it sounds crazy, but his body to the brink in some cases. And what I think is happening here is more than likely after the most recent Smash Bros. Was done on the Wii U, he does say he started working on it. I have a feeling in the background there were some talks, and more than likely he is kind of had a governor, if you will, put on him, right? So that he doesn't really push himself too hard, and he probably has quite a few people helping him. And there's a good reason why they would want that outside of his physical health, which is important, obviously, but they definitely understand that Sakurai is not going to be around forever to work on these Smash Bros. Games, so they need to get proteges, if you will, kind of working with him so that they can eventually take the reins and he can step back further and further, right? Maybe they do the next Smash Bros. Game after this one, and he's more of a supervisor or more of an really advising them on what would be best, rather than him just pushing himself to the brink by testing over and over again. And he was talking about how he was getting inflammation from, you know, playing the controller and everything, and all this stuff he was doing, countless hours just scrutinizing everything. And if he has the help, and if he's told, you know, let's step back a little bit, let's get some people to help that can kind of carry the torch, you know, going forward, that's probably what's happening. That's what I would hope anyway. I hope he's in control of his health in this case, and I hope that he at least understands that his work ethic seems to be second to none in this case, but he needs to be aware that his health is very important, and I hope Nintendo understands that as well, and they are providing him with a lot of help, and in some cases, some I would say some limitations for what he's allowed to do or how long he's even allowed to work. As for, is this a new Smash Bros. Game? It sounds like it is, yes. There's a lot of things pointing to it, from the lack of Bandai Namco's logo being on there, the copyright 2018, the idea that they didn't even tell us it was a definitive edition, something they would want to tell us pretty much right away with that reveal. Seems to be a working title. Sakurai appears to have been working on it for a while now, in secret, in silence even. So it seems like they're not going to be doing a port from the Wii U version. Would they use the same engine? Well, they might, right? I mean, it's something that could move over. I've been saying for a while, they probably don't need to continue making brand new entries into the Smash Bros. Series. Instead, have something that is updated constantly, you know, going forward. Build an engine that is great, continue tweaking it, and if a new system comes out, you know, you port that one over. Essentially, it would make it so that Smash Bros. Can grow as a franchise pretty much under one title, just Super Smash Bros. So that's something I would like to see. Some people might be against that because they like their iterations of Smash, but honestly, I think you get to a point where you realize, especially with these systems being connected to the internet and being updated now, right, throughout, I don't really know why I need to keep making, I mean, I make the same argument for things like Madden and NBA, but they keep making them, so in this case, sure, they keep doing it, but I think it would be great to see them just continue to add on to a really, really tight system that they kind of implement and update as they go along. Next up, let's talk about Valve, because, well, they're shipping games again. I know, it's crazy. I felt like they weren't going to be doing that at all, because why would they? They make so much money with Steam that they could just not do anything other than maintain the Valve's Steam store, which they barely do that based on a lot of listings and just how just crazy that really Steam is at this point. So many games show up, and 20 to 30 games show up every day. It's just crazy. But it sounds like Valve is getting back into the game creating scene. And it's crazy that that's news, considering they were the company that brought us things like Half-Life and Counter-Strike. Yes, they're making games again. In fact, they did announce their newest game, I guess, called Artifact. And that appears to be a digital card type game. Now, there's a lot to take from the presentation that Valve had, where Gabe Newell just really presented Artifact. It's a Dota 2 themed digital card game, but they even went on record saying that they're jealous of Nintendo to a degree, because they see that when they're developing a game, they can kind of develop the hardware and the game together so that it makes the hardware look as good as possible. They kept mentioning hardware, and I'm trying to figure out, is Steam going to be developing hardware alongside of this, or are they talking more about kind of Steam as their hardware, essentially? Despite it being software, that's kind of their thing. They're even talking about integrating the marketplace in for Artifact. They'll say Artifact's not going to be a pay-to-win game, but it's not going to be a free-to-play game. You're going to be buying it, apparently, and then the cards you can buy, I guess, card packs or earn currency in the game to then buy them, and then you can even sell them in the Steam marketplace. Sounds like there's a lot of details they still need to share with us. Just right now, they're saying we're going to be shipping multiple games. That's right, plural. They're going to be shipping more than just Artifact, shipping, let you download, you know. But it sounds like there are going to be more games coming. I know what everyone's thinking right away. Half-Life 3, right? I don't know if Valve's ever going to make Half-Life 3. I'm just going to tell you that now. The expectations are so high. Even they have to know by now it would be very difficult to reach that point. Whatever they deliver would probably be disappointing to fans just because of how much it's been built up. Would I like to see it? Absolutely. I think something like a Left 4 Dead 3 is much more likely, though, because expectations for the next zombie horde shooter are much lower than Half-Life 3, where Half-Life 2 was so revolutionary for a lot of people at the time. I don't know if Half-Life 3 can be that revolutionary now in 2018. Next up, let's talk about Days Gone. Because it has been pushed now out of 2018, Sony recently updated their website to go from 2018 to 2019 for its release date, and then a Sony representative did confirm this to US Gamer that yes, Days Gone is being pushed to 2019. We also heard at the PlayStation Experience event that they had a little while ago, a few months ago, Shuhei Yoshida himself said it was a 2018 game. So we've been expecting it to release this year, and it makes a lot of sense to get it out this year because it looks so similar to Last of Us 2. I don't know how close in proximity you can release those games unless you just want Days Gone to just be kind of thrown out there. But look at 2018 and look what's happening in the holiday. It's becoming very crowded right now. Red Dead Redemption 2, as much as people may not believe it, has a massive impact on the gaming world. That is something that has moved Call of Duty up at this point. It's releasing in the beginning of October, something I don't remember ever happening before. And I have a strong feeling Battlefield is going to follow suit to try to beat Red Dead Redemption 2 out as well. And they just don't want to throw Days Gone out there like that. I mean, it's a new IP. It's something they've been working on since they revealed it in 2016. So maybe they're looking to release that around the time when God of War is coming out this year. Just do that in 2019. Maybe in April. Maybe a February release when things are a little slower, right? Not as much as releasing. And they can give a new IP like Days Gone that looks very similar to Last of Us 2, which maybe they'll put out in 2020 then, its own little spotlight there. It makes more sense. Get it out when it's quiet rather than when just so many big games are going off. We saw what happened to Titanfall 2. I think Sony learned from that. You know what? Let that game, give it a couple extra months in the cooker, and then we'll put it out early 2019. Next up, let's talk about an interesting port that was kind of just announced during an interview, which was very odd to see. But this was when WCC Tech was interviewing the creators of Everspace. Now, if you've never heard of Everspace, it's kind of a roguelike space exploration, dogfighting. It's pretty cool. It's basically a space combat style game. It was kickstarted years ago, I think back in 2015, raised over $400,000, and now it's out, and you can get it on Windows, Xbox, and I believe Mac as well. You can also get it on there on Steam. Well, it sounds like they've set their sights on the Switch, and this was, again, in an interview saying, the game is made with the Unreal Engine 4, which fully supports the Nintendo Switch. Do you think the console's hardware could run Everspace, and if so, are you considering a port? For a team with its root in mobile gaming, we are super excited about the Switch, naturally. We have always loved the ubiquity of mobile gaming devices in general, and the Switch even comes with proper analog controllers, which is very much needed if you want to have a proper console-style experience on the go. As much fun as it was to play Galaxy on Fire 1 and 2 on smartphones and tablets, touch controls have never been the best fit for a 60OF space shooter. More importantly, Nintendo's DNA has always been a great mobile gaming experience with a premium pricing policy, keeping the perceived value of its games at console level and keeping the platform from being cluttered by too many shovelware, sounds like Steam. The success of the Switch proved Nintendo right, and we have started looking into an Everspace port a few weeks ago. Now, while I cannot share any further details about a release date or pricing, I definitely can share that our mobile gaming background already paid off. Everspace runs super smoothly, and it looks just gorgeous on the device. We still have to optimize the performance when running on the big screen, but we are getting there, so stay tuned for more. Now, the developers are Rockfish Games, and if you go to their site, you'll see this excerpt here, and it actually makes a lot of sense why they would be excited for the Switch, because they do have a lot of experience with mobile technology, and their game is built in Unreal Engine. Take a look here. Rockfish Games is a new independent gaming studio based in Hamburg, Germany, and specialized in creating Unreal Engine 4 based games for PC and console. It was founded by mobile games veteran Michael Schade and Christian Lohr, who have been joint entrepreneurs in the space of 3D graphics for over 20 years. As founders and managers of Fish Labs Entertainment, they spearheaded 3D mobile gaming for almost a decade before they took on a new adventure to conquer the PC and console space with innovative and polished high-quality games. So think about this. You are, in this case, an upstart. You have a Kickstarter that was very successful. You put it on Steam. It sells well enough, right? You're getting people in. And then all of a sudden, the Switch shows up. Something that kind of beckons back to your mobile roots, right? That's what we're hearing. It runs Unreal Engine 4. So naturally, it sounds like they got really excited and they have jumped on the Switch now. What's very interesting is they talked about, in this case, having it optimized for handheld first. And now they're trying to figure out the screen, like the big screen is what they're saying. They're working on optimizing that, which is interesting because we always kind of hear about these companies, these developers, optimizing it for the big screen first and then trying to shrink it down to the mobile side, the handheld side. So it sounds like they got really excited about a mobile chipset being portable that could play their game, and they developed it for that, and now they're trying to figure out how to make it blow up and look okay on like a 60-inch screen or whatnot. So I think that's kind of funny to read, but yeah, Everspace is apparently in the works right now, which is pretty cool to see that show up on the Switch, and it continues to show the indie support. Even games like that technically in the indie scene, that's kind of like a AAA game for the indie scene, right? It's not a AAA game outside of the indie scene, but when we're comparing it to some games there with indies, that is a bigger game that has AAA-like graphics. So we're going to have to see what they come up with and how well it runs across the board, but when will it show up? I don't know. It just sounds like, hey, they have it running, and I'm sure Nintendo wants something like this roguelike space shooter, so expect it, I guess, to be unveiled at some point. Finally, in our last bit of news, let's talk about a few patents that Nintendo did publish. These are very interesting. They filed them, and there's two there. One is the Donkey Kong Bongos is what it looks like. I know, the ones from Donkey Konga. Interesting. The other one is a keyboard that appears to have the Joy-Con controller plug into it, and it seems to replicate what the Labo does, where the IR sensor can actually read keystrokes and presses that you're making, and then it works. So technically, the keyboard doesn't need a battery. It's all running off of the Joy-Con, just pretty much seeing any of these keys being pressed. It's a very interesting idea and concept for a wireless keyboard that technically has no battery or anything like that. It literally is just the keyboard itself, you just press keys and the Joy-Con will read it. I think that's kind of a cool idea. The Donkey Kong Bongos, though, I don't know if we're seeing, in this case, a new Donkey Konga game. Maybe. I guess some people liked it. Apparently it was much better in Japan than it was here in the US. And now that everything's region free, even if they, for some reason, release a better version there, we can get it. It's just really funny to see those just randomly pop up, in this case for a patent, and I guess probably a trademark and everything. Are we seeing another one? Well, I mean, they keep talking about peripherals and different ways to play, so I mean, probably, yeah, we're probably going to see it all over again, and we're going to have to buy new bongos. So we'll see what they come up with for that. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for Newswave today. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, guys. It really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave a bunch of comments down below about everything we talked about today. Maybe you're disappointed that Days Gone is now a 2019 game. Maybe you understand because it's getting crowded right now, right? We're still expecting Spider-Man even to get some kind of release date. And we see Black Ops, Battlefield, Red Dead Redemption, Smash Brothers, so many games. Days Gone being a smaller, at least unknown game, not necessarily smaller, could fall by the wayside. It makes sense. Get it out somewhere where it's by itself. Also, let me know what you think about these patents with Nintendo. Maybe you want to talk about Smash Bros. And Sakurai returning for it. Are you concerned for him and his health? Or do you think Nintendo probably learned some things from his last outing and they're kind of preparing him for it? I would like to think they are. Or maybe you want to talk about Valve and that possibility of Half-Life 3. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.